two things right from the start. We will be brutally honest. This is part one, but we have already recorded part two. So we are dancing with the chaos. So we have already spoken for many hours. We have recorded part two. This is part one as an introduction. Who says you have to do it from A to B? You know, you can do it like this. And the other thing is, we decided this is our action day today. We are piloting a cosmic ship. We are on Firefly today. So I am your captain. Hello. And we have the star of the show, Kristina Skrabalova.
Hello.
Hello. And since you haven't been privy to part two yet, so let me say, Kristina is awesome. That's one thing you need to know. She is a woman of many talents. She is an explorer, traveler, adventurer. She has been all around the world. She's also a coach. And we both come originally from the Czech Republic. Are you Bohemian or Moravian?
Moravian.
Moravian. Okay. So we have got a Moravian here and a Bohemian stroke Moravian. That's two regions in the Czech Republic. So, where do we start your travels? What?
Actually, Tanya, now when you said it, it kind of like brought me back to my identity as a traveler. I haven't been called like that for quite a long time, and like it's weird in a way, and it's very nice. Now I'm really, when you were saying that, I was getting this warm feeling like, yeah, that's actually me. That's so lovely because uh most of my life, or let's say the rebellious part of my life, which took quite long, I
Just a moment. Surely it hasn't ended yet. Okay, surely.
Okay, so
Sorry.
you know what? I call it different names. I'll call it like the teenage part of my life.
Okay.
And now I feel like the adult who is settled, who is doing the business and like doing her own thing. But my teenage life were like this kind of wild, and I mean like teenage by symbolic name, because it lasted, I guess, until I was 30. So it's kind of teenage, It's still like that. That's the mentality. So
I can
yeah,
relate to that very much so.
yeah. And all this my teenage years, this is how I identified myself. I was a traveler. And now the last few years since I moved back to Czech Republic and started creating this kind of, family and home and business, I haven't called myself like that. And nobody called me like that, even though I still kind of travel, but not as wild as before. So thank you. Thank you for this lovely introduction. It really brought me like, oh yeah, that's me.
Oh,
That's me.
it's such an essential part of you because you are a nomadic creature. You have it in your blood, in your DNA. You need your journeys because that's what we talked about last time in more depth. And you're an adventurer, you're an explorer, So because there's like I just for you that are listening from Britain, when we say traveler, we don't mean the ethnic group. We mean like really person that travels gallivanting around the world and exploring and just learning about cultures and moving from one place to another. So Kristina, how did it all start?
Yeah. I actually would say that there were two phases of my traveling. The first type of traveling was connected to me being a climber. And in my 20s, I used to climb a lot. And I was surrounded by the group of freely active climbers. My ex-boyfriend from that time, he was almost like half professional climber. And with him, we started to do these really adventurous climbing trips to Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
So we were there 3 times, always for a month or two. And since you're there kind of like in the mountains waiting for the right weather, you spend quite a lot of time, you know, in those little villages, mountainous areas, so you kind of really get closer to the locals. And I loved it. We Latin America, we did, I can't say really the whole one because of course it's a huge continent, but as far as Peru and Argentina and Bolivia are considered, I might say that we really traveled, you know, like throughout all of them. And this was this type of traveling, you know, this wild type. This is how I learned, I guess, and where I got my outside adventurous part of me, because when you're a climber you don't really go for holidays, you know, somewhere lying in a
On the beach.
hotel or, you know, like, you know, on the beach. So it's more like, you know, you discover, you explore, you go into the wild mountains, you carry everything on your bag, you put the tent where it's possible. And then of course the higher you are, the more it's connected with the real climbing, the more exciting it gets, because you can't really put your tent anywhere, you know, you're climbing up the glacier, and like you have to like look out for everything. And this type of traveling was the first phase of my traveling, which was exciting, which was, I would say, dangerous in a way, because we really did some big climbs. We were climbing some, you know, 5,000, 6,000 meters high. But also brought me to this idea of connecting with the locals, being there with the locals. And so at that part, I consider myself a traveler. I consider myself like, you know, I've got it all, I've seen it all, you know, like, fuck, like, come and get me, you know. And then what happened then was like the phase two started, which it's like in a movie, you know, always something new starts when something old ends. So the relationship with my ex-boyfriend ended, and for me that was the crucial part in my life. That was the turning point, because we were together for 7 years, and this was this type of a guy who, for me, I was sure he's going to be the father of my kids. So when then we eventually broke up, I was in a shock, you know. I couldn't digest it, and I literally, like, you know, fell apart. It was all connected with the fact that at that time I started working as a lawyer, because I graduated from the law school, you know. So I kind of like set my legal career on fire, which in the legal environment, it means once you start working, you work your, you know, I don't want to be using the rude words here, but you just like really
Do, yeah. We are not clean podcast, we are authentic podcast.
okay, so you basically, you know, work your ass off, like totally brutally. So I was so much into this work, you know, spending 10, 11 hours in office and at the computer, that I somehow didn't even notice that my relationship was falling apart. And then it was like a wake-up call, you know, when one day he just came in and he said, you know, I'm done. And I was like, what? And he just left. It was brutal in a way, but I guess I needed it. Now, from today's perspective, I needed, this was like a shock therapy, you know? And so it all culminated, like, let's say, the tension and the tiredness, the exhaustion from the working so many hours, so intensively, then combined with this breakup, which was for me like a complete disaster, like end of my life. And I just fell into pieces, like literally. And this was the moment when I found myself lying on the couch, on the sofa of one therapist. And you know, I quit my job because I was a ruin. I couldn't go to the work anymore. And I was there staying with this therapist. From today's perspective, I don't understand how she could do this for me, because she basically like took me home and gave room for me. I was kind of like on intensive care, you know. Like really, I was like,
Oh wow.
you know, I was
Oh
like
my
a
goodness.
complete ruin. And so she took me in basically, and she gave me this type of refuge. And so the story goes on. I was lying one day, a lovely day, on her couch, like being again in my, you know, like despair and sadness. And then out of blue, I got a phone call friend, a girlfriend of mine from old ages, from like in school times. And at that time, she was in Vietnam, in Asia.
Mm.
And she called me out of blue just to know, just to check out, like check in. Hi, how's everything going? Da 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 da. And she started telling her stories. I was just listening, and then there comes this crucial question, like, so what's up with you? How's everything? How's you and your boyfriend doing? Da 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 da. And this for me was like, I'm like, oh, I'm terrible. I'm a complete mess. He left. I'm like, blah, 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 and like there was this explosion of these emotions. And then there was this quiet moment on the other part of the phone. Like, she was like, oh, okay. Obviously, she was pretty shocked. She didn't expect this type of answer and this type of reaction. And then I guess she didn't know what to say. So she said, okay, so don't you want to come to Vietnam? Maybe you find, like different inspiration, different environment. And I was like, you crazy? Like, oh, thank you for this piece of advice, but like, no, thank you, and we just said goodbye. And she basically, planted the seed.
Yeah.
And then, it took me a few more days while me still lying on the couch. And I was thinking like, Vietnam, what the hell is that? Like I never really had any interest in Asia before, to be honest, because also I studied Spanish. So I was always closer to this Latin American culture and the mountains there. So I had no interest in Asia whatsoever. So I was like, Vietnam, what is it? Like, where the hell is that, And, my therapist was kind of like going with her process until she got with me to a point when she said, okay, like very unprofessional in a way, but, it saved my life in a way. And she said, you know what? I guess you should go to Vietnam. And I was like, what? Like, what do you
I
mean?
love it.
And she was, because honestly, I don't know what to do with you anymore. So you better go to Vietnam, and it either kills you or it saves you.
Oh, this is brilliant. I just want to jump in to all the boyfriends that ever broke our heart, but opened the door to our future destiny. Thank you. And to all the therapists that sent you to Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. I was okay. So I just like came to terms with the fact that I'm like, hopeless case. So, the only chance for me is to go to this bloody Vietnam, So I made like this quick decision. And I sold my car, I rented my apartment, and I just, came home to my mom, who, of course, she was like, she was scared because she didn't know what's going on with me. She basically like brought me to the therapist because, she really saw me as a ruin. She was super scared. And then I came back after a month from this therapy, and I announced at home, I'm going to Vietnam.
And she's like, I'm firing the therapist.
Exactly. She was like, what? Are you crazy? Like a few weeks before you were just like lying dead on the ground, and now you want to go alone to Vietnam? Like, I will not let you, Are you crazy? Like, who's going to look up to? And I was like, no, that was a recommendation from the therapist. This is the
And
best
you're like,
thing.
it sounds like a good idea at the time. I'm going. This is why I love you, Kristina.
So it literally happened like that. I made the decision, and in 10 days, I was sitting in the plane. And that's also another thing. Since it happened so quickly, I didn't really, I went there like with absolutely no idea of what I'm doing, like no preparation whatsoever. I had basically no idea where I'm going, I only knew that there's my friend Eva, and she knows I'm coming, and I can stay with her for first few days. And okay, let's see. And I only bought one-way tickets. Yeah, because I made this decision, like no way back, just like only forward, So, and then imagine, I mean, this story is so hilarious. So I'm sitting in the plane, and I'm still like digesting this whole emotional like drama. I was still a ruin at that moment of my life. So I really feel so sorry for my co-passengers who were sitting next to me, because that's nothing what you want, 11 hours flight to Vietnam when there's a girl sitting next to you who's like
Yeah, I know. I can so imagine because I remember myself when something similar happened to me. Boyfriend, big like heartbreak, and like the snot, the tears. It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
It's not pretty, and I couldn't hold it, so I was like, 10 hours in a row.
I want to petition for a movie. I can see it in visual.
And then there was this moment, I remember it like so well in the plane. When I was after these few hours of this, drama, I thought like, okay, come on, Kristina, hold yourself, like, hold on, come on. Oh, grab yourself. Let's just like watch something, at least. Okay, so what's there? I was checking, and there was like all these love stories. I was like, no, I can't watch it. No, 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 no. And then there was like, okay, I have to find something neutral. And always in this long flights, you've got this traveling, part where there's something about your destination. And so I was, okay, there's something about Hanoi. Okay, this looks pretty neutral. I could handle it. Okay, so let's just watch where the hell am I going? And I remember the moment, I switched it on. And then there was this moment of the streets in Hanoi. Whoever was ever in Asia, kind of gets this feeling. It's like complete chaos. It's not like Hong Kong or Shanghai, not this type of chaos, but there's like really wild, like the cows coming in and like hundreds of people walking in, and there's old grannies, with her bikes, and some cars and motorbikes, and like a lot of mess and a lot of noise, and
motorbikes with all the houses on them, and the family of 6, including the goat and the sheep.
Exactly, like a total mess, total chaos. And and I remember myself, watching it, and I was like, I got scared because since I never really before was interested in Asia, I had no idea how it looks like there, like what it's about. And there was this moment when I watched this for 5 minutes, and I was like, shit, like, where the hell am I going?
I'm not getting off this plane.
Exactly. Am I crazy? Like, and then I just made the decision. Okay, I just switch it off. If this is the hell where I'm heading, okay, let it wait. At least like this for 4 or 5 hours. Okay, I'm just not giving myself this now. Like, if I'm supposed to land in the hell, it should come in 5 hours, not now. So this was
okay.
all this.
That's where your Buddhist meditation started. Yeah, you were like sitting there like for 5 hours. Preparing for Hanoi.
It was really, I got super bloody scared. But okay, and there was this moment, of arrival. So we're landing, and I'm getting off the plane, and I'm looking around, and I see this airport, which, is like, Vietnam is a communist country. And I landed in Hanoi, which is the north part of the country, which is like still the very strong communist, old style, I would say like Czech Republic, socialistic 60s or 70s, back. So I looked around and I was like, what the hell is that? Like, this is crazy. And so I and I left the airport. I wanted to leave the airport, and there was this is exactly how it happened. I made these like 2-3 steps out of the airport hall. And this is where the whole Asia, the whole Vietnamese chaos and mess kind of like, bumped into me, because immediately, yeah, it was like, it smashed into my face, like all these, like people, like riding at me, and like, I was like, oh, like, what is this? What is this? What is this?
No personal space in Asia.
Absolutely. And all this smell, like after living in Asia, you kind of get used to it, and you start to like it. But
you start craving it in some ways.
You start craving it in a way. But when it's the first moment, it's like
it hits you in the face.
It hits you. It smells so badly. And then like this chaos out there. There were not even like proper cars, they were like people riding the bike and the cows and everything. And I met this like, 3 steps back into the airport hall, and I was like, shit, like, this is worse than in the movie, like, I like, what the hell I did. And there was this like moment, where like this sobering face, and I was like, what the hell I did. And I was like still having this one-way ticket in my pocket, so like, and I had my hand in the pocket, and I was like, you know, like my head like completely sweaty, you know, like playing with this one-way ticket. I was like, shit, what did I do? What did I do? Like, what the fuck am I going to do here? You know, like,
You've forgotten your broken heart though at that moment.
yeah. So basically, this is how, you know, my story in Asia began, you know, and then is from then on, it moved pretty quickly. Of course, you know, my friend who was supposed to be like, you know, my savior. And I was hoping that she will, you know, wait for me at the airport or whatever. She wasn't at the airport and she wasn't answering the phone, nothing, you know, because then later on I found out that they had a party, you know, and she had a huge hangover, so she was sleeping, you know. And me, you know, like first day in this wild Hanoi, like trying to survive, like what is this?
One-way ticket.
This one-way ticket. I was like, shit, you know, I have to survive at least a month. I can't go back home like tomorrow, you know, or tonight. They'll make fun of me back home, you know. So,
Cannot fail.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
like you cannot swing back in with my tail down, you know.
Yeah, you know, exactly. There was like really no way back. So yeah, so this is how it all started, and this is how my whole Asian story developed. And the funny point is, you know, that when I was leaving Czech Republic, I really didn't know for how long I'm going. You know, everybody was asking me. Of course, my mom, she was like super scared, and I didn't give any answer. I said, I don't know, maybe a month I'll travel, maybe longer, I don't know. And eventually I stayed for 2 years in Asia. Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
this trip prolonged pretty much, and there was just one main, let's say, decision that I did while entering the Asian soil. I just because I wanted this to be kind of like pilgrimage, not just as we spoke about the last time, not like running away from something, but like to take it as a really pilgrimage. And my mission for this pilgrimage was to try to be okay, to get to the state, to the mental state where I'm okay with impermanence. Because I realized that this impermanence was something that I couldn't handle, you know, like once the impermanence kind of, you know, like stepped into my life, when it was this like boyfriend leaving, this somebody who was supposed to stay forever, and then he left, you know, impermanence kicking in. And I was like, and it broke me down. So I made this decision, okay, I have to, you know, like I have to not only get over this, but understand impermanence and like, you know, live it till the very core of my bone so that it doesn't hurt me that much anymore. So decision that I did was that to every place that I'll be in Asia, that I'll move in, that I gave myself like 4 or 5 months maximum, so that I stay, that I make connections, that I find a job, you know, like settle myself, you know, find a flat and make all these, you know, like permanent setting. And then, you know, for 4.5, 5 months maximum, I just let it go and move to another place, like again, starting from the point zero, making new connections, trying to find a new work, so that I kind of give myself this experience of coming and going, that things come and go, you know, friends come and go, whatever, opportunities come and go, places come and go, so that I relax, you know,
You
with
get
impermanence.
used to it. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome practice. And you know, you have done it then, so you are prepared now for the chaos and the changes. And nowadays, most people are actually seeking this or experiencing the big changes and the space of impermanence. And it's like it's scrambling around. The whole world is almost like scrambling around. What do I do? How do I learn adaptability? How do I come to terms of letting things go? And you have done it like very consciously.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing practice because it does give you resilience and adaptability, and you get used to changes and you don't fear them anymore because yeah, it doesn't destroy you anymore.
Exactly, exactly. You know, it goes hand in hand with this experience that whatever falls apart, I'm able to
Deal
build
with it.
something new. you know,
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, this is why I was putting myself into these conditions, you know, always going to a new place where I had nothing, zero. So again, you know, like building from the scratch, like finding some job, finding some place to live, finding some new faces, some new familiar, you know, people around me. And this is also, it gives me, until today, it gives me this really confidence in myself, you know, that I can do it. That
You can,
whatever happens, whatever is
you
taken
can
away
deal.
from me, I can always start from the beginning. And this is super important.
It is. And in this, again, we resonate very much because that was exactly my own experience. And then you know how to, how to adapt, how to deal with it. You come into a new environment and you're like, okay, these are the first things I look at. These are the first things I set up. And you know how to do it, even if the environment is different, if the setting is different, there's always something underneath that is similar. You just know how to work with it. And that was it. That's where we were talking about last time as well, finding the dynamic balance within yourself of how much of comfort zone or like a home you need, like the structure that stays and stable, and how much you need this movement. So you keep growing and adapting, and you don't get into that fear space, because when you stop doing this, it kind of withdraws the boundaries again, and this kind of comfort zone closes around you, and it becomes your cage at some point. So all of a sudden, your space shrinks, your world starts shrinking, and I see it bit elderly, with some elderly people, that it starts like shrinking, and they start, the more their world shrinks down, the more they are afraid to go out into the world, and the world becomes a really scary place. and
Yeah.
um, and it's a hard kind of state to be in. So
Yeah.
it's like I decided at some point many years ago that when I'm not traveling and when I'm staying in a stable environment, like at home, in the same environment for a while, I will do at least one step up of comfort zone a day.
Yeah.
It's my practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Great
because
one.
I just don't want things to shrink on me, and then the anxiety and the fear kind of creeps in. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess it's also interconnected with, I guess, the very, for me, that's the deep idea of the Buddhism, yeah, that like you're not attached to things, to
Mm,
anything around you, yeah. And thanks to this my Asian experience, I guess I really, you know, I got the taste, you know. And
mm,
of course now I'm, you know, now I'm in this phase of my life that I'm like building something, you know, we've got a house and it's beautiful, but I still have this feeling, I know how it tastes, you know, like you're
mm,
not attached to it, you know. So now it's here, fantastic, tomorrow it's gone, okay, move on, yeah.
mm,
And this is also like this flexibility of your mind, which is exactly as you describe, because if you keep your life living like, you know, with this attachment, then this is like, even if you even if you imagine it, like it gets this, it gives this this vibe of scarcity, you know, like of like
mm,
it's like, you know, a little bit. So that's why I have to like hold on to it, you know. The more I hold on to it, the more there's this kind of like tension, you know, and this rigidity, or how, what's the right
yeah,
words, you know.
rigidity. Yeah,
Yeah.
use that word.
So, and it all shrinks exactly as you say, you know. So for me, this is like very important thing in life, and it helps me so much. Of course, I mean, I do not recommend everybody to, you know, like leave everything out and go and, you know, go.
Children, you can do this without buying one-way tickets to Hanoi, okay? But if the fancy takes you and you want to have one-way tickets to Hanoi or anywhere else, do it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like one more thing, children, but don't call your mom when it sucks, yeah.
Poor mama.
Yeah, There was now with this mama, this reminds me of another point. Because okay, so I went to Vietnam, and so I moved around Vietnam I moved these like 3 locations in Vietnam. First I was in Hanoi, then I was down in the southern part, like close to Saigon, and then I went to the middle part, and then I moved to Himalayas. And
Ooh.
yeah, this is like now the exciting party starts, or let's say the most exotic.
Well,
And
wait, Christina. The exciting part wasn't one way to get to Hanoi. This sounded pretty exciting to me. But yeah, let's go to Himalayas.
yeah, the Himalayas, this brought it like to a complete different level. And it was this also like funny shift, because while living in Vietnam, the last place where I lived was like nice on the coast, chilled out. The Vietnamese are, I mean, it sounds exotic too, but they're super chilled people, like, and it still kind of works in a civilized way. I don't want to call it like Western way, but in a civilized way. So whatever that means for you. But what I mean is, like, people use phones, they've got internet, they've got all these, cosmetics things that you want to use, like their digital part of life is on like very high level. So this still all works. And so I was living there on the coast, like enjoying this kind of life combined with this fantastic food there and
Yeah.
fruits, and like wearing this kind of like summer dresses all the time. And then I made this shift into this like crazy, wild, like really wild Himalayas, where I moved to a little village, like up in the Kashmiri region, which was really like literally like moving to a completely different world, where not only there's like nothing from, let's say, like this digital world, forget it, they're happy when they have their lights on for at least like 2 hours per day. That's the most luxurious part of the digital world there. No signal, nothing, because Kashmir is the Kashmiri region. It's still, let's say, the war zone. So the locals, they can use some, mobile or telephone communication, but it's all this kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like this army signal something coverage. So any
Professional.
normal mobile operator does not have any reach there. Yeah.
Right.
And the locals, they can get access to this army signal area, but only locals, no foreigners. Yeah. So like you're really completely disconnected, and you're in the part like up in the mountains where it's some 7 hours drive from the like airport, and the airport is still in the place, which resembles, I don't know, to me it's like, if you look back like in Europe, like 200 or 300 years back, this type of style, this type of life, like very simple life, let's put it that way. And this is like the capital of this region, and then it took me like 7 hours to get to Moulbek, to this little village there, where there's like really absolutely nothing. There's like the huge Buddha statue, in the middle, and the big school where I was supposed to volunteer and work,
Okay.
and and few small houses, and that's it. And then you could travel like half an hour or 1 hour more, where there was half an hour there was already the border with Pakistan. And 1 hour more was to get to, let's say, the pass in the high mountains, which then was, let's say, the entry to the whole Kashmir area, because it's like it's this mountain range,
Mountain.
which you enter from one part here, like this is the little pass in the mountains, from where there's the road which goes through the mountain range and the villages and the little valley. And then on the other part of the mountain range, there's another pass which brings you down to the valley again. So basically, these two passes are the only ways of transportation or everything, together with a little airport, in the middle. And these passes, when there's a bad weather, when there's a snowstorm, whatever, it's all blocked, it's all closed. And these are the two main entrance point for any food, let's say, you know, like any bigger choice of a food. Of course, the locals up there, they have, you know, their own crops. So, you know, a little bit of barley, you know, a little bit of, you know, something that they grow there, but it's like nothing. It's mainly, you know, like all the time, peas and beans, and that's it, you know.
It brings me back to China. It's like refried noodles with pickles for breakfast, day in, day out.
Exactly, exactly. So this is how I was there. Yeah, but what I wanted to say, sorry, maybe interrupt me when I speak too much
No,
because
no,
I
no.
always
I
get into
loved it.
this.
No. That's why I have you here.
Okay, so why I was telling is that we were speaking about our mothers, or like, you know, children don't call your moms when you get into trouble out there. And this reminded me of a moment where I was staying there already in the Himalayas for some time, and then my visa ended, so I needed to get out from the country to get my visa prolonged. And so, you know, I searched on internet, where could I go, and the most interesting option for me was Nepal. So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. At least I'll see Nepal. I spent some time there. I organized the visa, and then I come back. But then I saw that, you know, the cheapest flight tickets to go to Kathmandu, to Nepal, is via Srinagar, which Srinagar is an Indian town in the really war zone, let's say. You know,
Wild
yeah,
region.
it's a really wild region. It's like army airport, basically. And of course, that's why the flight tickets from there were super cheap, because nobody wanted, nobody like sane would have a flight from there. Yeah.
But Christina, you know, as we know from One Way to Hawaii, oh, sorry, Hawaii, not Hawaii, Vietnam, Hanoi.
If there was Hawaii, that would be
Hawaii would have
fantastic.
been totally different.
Yeah, but exactly, not this blonde girl, you know, who just like, you know, wanted to be the super smart and like, okay, I'll save so much money on the flight tickets, it's fantastic, let's go there. And so, you know, I bought the flight ticket from there. And then a week before my flight, there was another riot, you know, like breaking up in this part of region, because it's this Kashmir, it's a really wild place, you know, and the locals are fighting, like the Pakistanis and the Indians, and then like, you know, the Muslims in between each other. It's like real mess. You don't even know like who's fighting who, but they're just fighting. So because of this fight, the road, which was the only, you know, access road, was closed by the army, was blocked, you know, like basically like cut off, so that nobody can enter. And the army was kind of like trying to control the situation. And this was like week before my flight, so I was like, oh shit, you know, like, I hope they'll just like finish their fight, you know, the stupid fight, so that they can open the road again, so that I can, you know, get my flight, you know.
Get on with it, guys. I need to get to.
Yeah, exactly. Like, guys, like, don't bother me with your fights, you know, like, I just need to get my flight. And so I was like, you know, waiting. And they really open it the very like day before my flight. So I was like, okay, I'm saved. Let's go there. And, you know, so Kristina just jumped into the car, and it was like the first part took me to the Pakistani border, where, you know, there was the first moment when I thought, oh, maybe this is a bit too much, because, you know, I'm a blonde girl. You don't want to be the blonde girl in the like really deep Orthodox Muslim town,
Yeah,
you know?
you don't want to be the blonde girl in Kashmir, full stop.
Yeah. And, you know, because the part where I lived, this Himalayan part, this was a Buddhist part. So it was still kind of okay, you
Okay,
know?
yeah.
And I learned this kind of, you know, the necessity to really cover yourself, even though they're like Buddhists, they're very nice. But, you know, I was the girl coming from the seaside, from Vietnam, you know, used with all these, you know, like fancy and nice beach dresses. And then I realized, okay, this won't work here. So, you know,
It's a different world.
different world. So I kind of already understood that, you know, everything covered, you know, like fully covered here, but, you know, you can't cover the face, you know, like you can see. So I arrived to this border town, and of course, like all eyes on me, and I was like, Okay, so I put on, so I like put the scarf somehow, so that I, hit my hair, and I put put the glasses, but the only glasses that I had, sunglasses, were, like with the pink frames, yeah. you know,
I want to see the photos.
so, imagine I was really like super, secret, I tried to hide myself with this like pink glasses. You can't do anything, yeah. And they put
At least
me,
they wear Hello Kitty glasses, you know.
yeah,
Could have been
yeah, yeah.
worse.
So I made sure that I'm covered all over, but it didn't make me feel anyhow safer. And they put me in the little van, which was supposed to go like through this mountain pass,
Mhm.
down to Srinagar. And so I sit there, and this is now the moment when you sit in the little van and you kind of like, you desperately hope that there are some other women getting in the car,
Mm.
and there are none. And you're the only woman there, surrounded by, I don't like it, was it like 14 or 15 guys? It was like little van.
Oh, that reminds me of southern Turkey in the Taurus Mountains. Oh my God, sitting at the back, just with the men, and the men coming closer and closer, and I'm like, my elbows are going like this.
Exactly. And this was this
Oh.
moment when and the guys in Kashmir, they really look wild, like
Mm.
they really look like you see some picture of the Kashmir terrorists, like this big beards, and like they really look like tough guys.
It's just the visual makes you feel a bit uncertain. Yeah, it's as a woman,
Absolutely.
especially as a woman. Yeah, it's just.
Absolutely. And so I'm sitting there in this van and I'm thinking like, Kristina, like seriously, you're going to go on a ride which takes like 8 to 9 hours in the night throughout the really like, middle of nowhere up in the Kashmiri mountains, surrounded by these type of men, like, and I was like, this was this really moment when I thought, okay, so like let's make some safety measures. So, and I knew I couldn't really like tell my mom because she would just like freak out.
Hello, Christina's mom, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, so I just
But
the
the
very
thing is, though, that every single news headline, every single kind of story that you have heard of those settings just goes through your head. And that makes you even more so kind of. I mean, there are prejudices and they're also being prepared. So, so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what was yours? What was your
My
solution?
when I realized like this might be really tricky, I before we got into the part where there was like absolutely no signal, I managed to write to my friend, to my close friend living back in Czech Republic, and I wrote her, Bara, listen, I'm now like setting off for a pretty crazy journey. I'm here, point A, and I'm supposed to reach to point B in like 14 hours. I'm supposed to like, once I arrive there, I'll find some hotel, and I hope, to be able to reach back to you. And basically the message was, if I will not reach back to you in 24 hours, please, call my mother and, like start making,
And the
like,
embassy and the SAS, yes.
yeah, 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 exactly. I just sort of like, contact my mom, explain her what's going on, and like, start making some particular steps.
May I ask, which year was it? This, so that we can put it in the context of what was going on in the world at
Yeah.
that time?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Nella was born, my daughter was born 2015. So it was 2012, 2013.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that's that setting in the world, what's going on in that region. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the last like really big Kashmiri war, like the war, ended 2007. I'm not really sure.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Like before it was like really like, like really ongoing fights. And so from 2007, it was kind of, like they made this deal, this ceasefire,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was still like this, that's why it was
It's
like the whole
contentious
army.
area, yeah, and it will be
Yeah,
for a while,
yeah.
unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
So back to this van,
Yeah, so
Kristina.
so I just like thought, okay, I did what I could do. I mean, and now like, holy cow, just save me, like take care of me. And what really was crazy was like, we sat on this road, and since, as I told you, only the day before they opened the road, it was like all under the army control. So we were literally moving like, it was like kilometer or maybe 2 kilometers. Each 2 kilometers, there were soldiers, standing on the road, basically, with their guns like that,
Mm,
like checking every car, like checking everybody.
so
And
it's
I
good
have
for
to,
you.
good for me, but these are not
Doesn't
these
feel
type
good.
of policemen
No,
or
no, no,
army
not in that.
guys who would just,
Yeah.
oh, is there something wrong? Let me check first. No, it's like
No.
something wrong. I'm shooting.
Yeah. I'm asking afterwards. Maybe not even asking afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we were going there, and it's like it was really very weird feeling to be basically on the, I don't know now, I miss the English word, but like, oh, when the gun is pointing at you,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. I
So
know
you're
what you
like
mean.
all this
Yeah.
time in this, so the car is moving very slow, and you go for 2 hours more or less like this, so that that every second, they can reach you, they can get you, whatever happens, and then at this
You're
moment.
always the target. Yeah, you're in.
Exactly. So, it's like, don't move stupidly, like don't make any like stupid whatever. And then at this moment, there was this like Muslim hour of whatever. And this
Mhm.
guy next to me, he started going like freaking, this like, also I'm there sitting like by the window. And this guy next to me is doing like this, oh, like this.
Oh, you started to pray. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, praying. But like there was like, I don't know if he was a bit, like mental or something, because that was like really not normal. He was like exaggerating. He was like, it was scary. And and then that all the time, like there are the like soldiers like pointing with you with the gun. So that was really scary. That was like, I almost really like shit my pants. And that was like, and I was thinking to
Mm.
myself, like, Kristina, you're such an idiot. Like, if you ever somehow by any accident manage to survive this, you will never ever go like to any travel like that, like you promise, like if you manage to get out from this, like you'll be sitting back home, planting fucking flowers in your garden, like not doing this. And so, and this was the whole moment. And then, okay, we survived this part, and then, there was the night, which was super scary, and the van was stopping at some places, where of course the guys would get out and get some drink. I wanted to pee so much, but I just like didn't have enough courage to get out of
Yeah.
the van. I was so scared. So I
Mhm.
basically almost like, like peed in my pants, because, 8
Yeah.
hours of no being. So I was like not drinking nothing. And then the most scary moment came when we were arriving to Srinagar, and it was around midnight. I somehow didn't calculate properly the time when we arrived. And then okay, and I was supposed to, I booked a hotel there, and we had the deal that the guy from the hotel would come to the station and pick me up
All right. Yeah.
and bring me to the hotel, because I was really scared. In Srinagar, it's like really, it's a fight area. It's like it's in the core of this like really orthodox, Muslim people. So I was really scared. And then we were arriving at the this bus station, and I was thinking, okay, so it's middle of the night. What do I do if the guy does not appear? Like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
will I step out from the car? And I was scared.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
imagine. I would just, this tiny car was this kind of like, at least my maybe illusion, but like, the
Yeah.
feeling of safety, some kind of
Yeah.
protection. And there was this bus driver, and he was driving me all the time, so hopefully he will not really kill me. Yeah, so I was feeling safe. But then we arrived, and of course, like, nothing. And I looked around,
Mm.
and you just don't want to be, you know, in this like dirty bus station in the very Orthodox Muslim part, you know, war
A
zone,
lone blonde
alone.
woman from the West that has no idea what's going on around. Well,
Exactly.
very
Whom to
vulnerable
ask.
position. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
where to go. And I was like, and this was the moment when I was literally, I was like kind of like saying goodbye to myself, because I was really saying like,
Mm.
okay, now so what happens? What, I'm leaving the car, I'm getting out of the car. And so what, like maybe it'll take like 5, 10, 15 minutes of when somebody notices me here, you know, and like what do I do? Okay, so what, they'll rape me, they'll just kill me, they'll cut me into pieces, you know. And I was just like really, I was kind of getting into terms with it. And I was kind of really preparing myself, you know.
Do you know, but this is interesting because that's the perceptions. On one hand, you have to be very, very clear and realistic about certain places and certain regions. Let's face it, there are certain places in London and Slough that you just don't put yourself into these positions if you can help it. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, if you know someone there, if you are the insider, if you have friends, if you have been accepted into the community, like the Muslim people in that area, they could be so hospitable and loving and kind and generous. But you are the stranger at that point. You don't know anyone, and it could go both ways. So it's like it's always both ways.
Yeah. And you know, it's also the point, you know, if I arrived there during the day,
It's
then
different.
I would, you know, I would look around for some woman, you know, and just like
Yeah.
go and approach
Make a
them. And
point of contact. Yeah,
yeah,
this is it. You're
yeah,
transplanted somewhere where you're an alien. Since we were talking about the ships, you know, spaceships at the beginning, we said we will be traveling in a spaceship. So we
yeah,
are. So that's
yeah,
it. Like you are in a different universe, and you're the alien there, and you just don't know the points of contact, the points of behavior. So yeah, you
yeah.
could be a prey, but you could be a friend, and you just never know.
Exactly. And it's also, you know, all your, as you said, kind of, you know, expectations, your imprints from what you've heard, for you, what you read in the news, from what you experience in your life, kind of, you know, like go on. Because let's be honest, you know, like dirty bus stations in the middle of the night, even here in Czech Republic, this is not the place where nice and friendly and like easygoing people, you know, meet for a coffee, you know, in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, I noticed that. Like when I was living in Slough, it was when I was still working for the police. Dirty old
Yeah.
bus station was it. When I was waiting there in the evening, I would be looking, where is the camera? Where can I stand my back to the wall? And what can I use as a weapon to defend myself if I have to? Sharpen pencils. Children sharpen pencils, because that way you're not going equipped. But if
Yeah,
you have to
yeah,
use the keys and so on, but the funny thing is though, if you look at it from the other point, so you're like standing there, this Western blonde young woman alone in this type of place where usually anywhere in the world kind of calls the not so savory people, you know. Yeah, yeah. So from outside, from and the non-savory aspect is in every culture, in every place, so it's just
yeah,
not
yeah,
dissing any culture or any place, right? So it's like,
yeah,
yeah, from their point of view, they are predators, you are the prey, and that's
yeah,
a terrible position because that's what you have to work with. Yeah.
exactly. And I was like super easy prey, you know, like like, you know. So yeah, but like luckily, you know, all went well, all went well. I survived, you know. The guy from the hotel, he really came. And I was, you know, I looked at him because it was a funny, since I didn't want to leave the van, you know, the driver was kind of like, okay, so are you waiting for somebody? And I was like, yeah, there's supposed to be, you know, somebody from the hotel to pick me up. And so, okay, so, you know, sit here, I'll look around.
Oh, nice.
And so
So
he went, and then I was, and again, you know, like your superstitions, you know, I kind of, okay, so what could he do? I mean, he walks around, he talks to this, guys, the bad guy, saying like, I've got this easy prey in the
Oh yeah,
car.
your mind plays you. Your mind just comes up with all these scenarios.
Totally.
Oh,
All this,
she
and he just like makes a deal with them, and then they kind of, like
sell you.
separate, sell me, and like, have fun with me, and then sell me and use me and like share, share the best, whatever,
Yeah.
And
I blame media. I blame media dramas. Yes, this is.
yeah, absolutely. So I was like, I was very scared, but no, luckily
Oh,
everything went well. He said, there's somebody waiting for you. So I was leaving the car and I was like thinking, okay, so now that's it. Either he's a bad guy and he made this deal with some other gangsters and now, this is my end, bye-bye. Or heaven help me, this is a nice guy and he's saying the truth and there's really somebody waiting for me. So the second scenario went well and it was all nice, all perfect, so the story ended very nicely and I got to the hotel. There was even like the funny cherry on the top because, I got it once I got to the hotel. I was super, of course, exhausted and I wanted to fall asleep, but I couldn't because, out of blue, I got this diarrhea, like the super strong, Asian diarrhea,
But after all this your nervous system has gone through, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It's like
So
release.
exactly, like everything out, like release, which basically meant, basically meant that, I spent all the night on the toilet.
Oh,
So I couldn't
exhausted.
really like sleep at all. And it's a kind of miracle that I managed to like really mentally somehow stop it 1 hour before I was supposed to go to the flight because in the state as I was in the middle of the night I wasn't able to stay, let's say, stay clean or save like for longer than 15 minutes, so
Oh
forget it,
God.
how to go to. But then like mentally I really said like, there was this decision when I remember this, I was like lying, like really hugging, the toilet. And I was like, stop it. I'm not staying in this, like crazy, dangerous place. Don't make me stay here, any nights longer. I just want to get out, So Kristina, come on, like hold yourself together. You just have to get out from here. So yeah, like the mental power worked. So I managed to kind of stop the diarrhea, got to the army airport and just like set off. So set off for Kathmandu. So this was like this crazy part of story. Sorry to keep it so long, but this was the moment
No,
when I
it's
said, like, yeah, better don't tell your mom of everything that's going on.
yeah. Again, hello, Christina's mom.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Though, isn't it interesting? Because now you're telling the story, you have been through that. It's the kind of relief that everything like went well at the end, and you met kind people. And I always like look at these points of where I felt very vulnerable in a dangerous settings and situations, and it could have gone again both ways. And then you meet people and you get out of it, and you are so grateful for the kind people and their help. So it's just like in some ways you go through that, oh my god, yes, so if I meet all that worse in humanity, and then you meet and appreciate that you met the good humanity, the good people that did not sell you into slavery, and
Yeah.
on the contrary, they just helped you, they went around, they took care of you in the way they could or were capable of. So it's wonderful.
And I guess it's this is the point which then gives you this trust in the world, trust in the people all around the world. And I guess it's thanks to this trust you then really travel. You're not afraid because you know that you can find good people and nice setting and nice circumstances like anywhere you go. Because what I see in people who are scared of traveling, it's because they don't have this trust. Because as you said, like all these projections and fears are coming up, and they don't have this evidence, this experience that would prove it wrong. But I guess since I had it so often, and you too, since you travel to so different part of places and you meet so many beautiful people who really help you, then you kind of naturally open up because you just trust the space.
And you have
Trust.
to, because we kind of live in distorted world. Because if you watch and read the media and certain type of films, then you have got in your, even if you are aware of what's going on, in your subconscious mind are these blueprints of how everything can go wrong, what's the worst in the humanity. And I certainly kind of met for 5 years daily almost the worst in the humanity when I worked for the British police. So, you
Mm.
do tend to live in a distorted world, even if you don't read the newspapers, even if you are aware that it's most geared towards drama and the negativity, because that sells, let's face it,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
it just sells. So you live in a, you, in your subconscious mind is sitting this blueprint, really distorted blueprint of how the world is, and you often forget about that there is the equal amount, if not more, of good things and good people.
yeah,
There is the good in humanity, and when you travel, as you say, you actually tend to meet that.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
there is a certain percentage of people that are so unfortunate, or circumstances that kind of, that bad things happen, but in majority actually good things happen. Yeah, that's my experience. So, like,
yeah, yeah,
the traveling on the bus in tourist mountains in South Turkey, there was the same bus full of
mm,
men, and exactly the scenario was like, yeah, yeah, now I'll be sold, or this and that, or they will be trying to feel and this, they are coming closer. This guy, elderly guy, is like, and it's just like, yeah, it's going in
yeah,
my head, and I'm getting like, the
yeah,
adrenaline is rising. You're like, yeah, if he comes any closer, I'm just going to jump my elbow into him. And then he just like, he does this, and he turns around, and it's just in a broken English. He starts talking to me, and he starts introducing me. And this is my
yeah,
oldest son, and this is my daughter. And I'm like, all of a sudden the situation just. But in my head,
yeah,
originally,
yeah, yeah,
this is this like horrible situation, drama, and it's just aggressivity. And this is how the conflicts do often happen. And then
yeah,
we ended up basically the bus at the bus stop. There was like a break. We ended up sitting. They invited me to picnic, and it's like, I was like, I'm looking for a wife for my
beautiful.
oldest son, but it was like in a nice way. It was very
Yeah,
hospitable, and all of a sudden it's like shifted
yeah,
180. So
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
it's like
yeah, yeah.
you do need to get out into the world to reset this kind of distorted view of things. And yes, there are
Yeah.
worse. There are worse. There are conflicts out there. But we have wars and conflicts inside us as well. That doesn't mean that it has to be everything, 100% how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I can't agree more. Yeah, true.
But at the
Because
same time, you have to be prepared. Which is like kind of things like, oh, everything is pink and fluffy, and it's just like 100% great. You can't go into the other extreme. It's like you have to be prepared just in case it goes the other way. Like, so
yeah,
we
like
are back to balance, dynamic balance.
this preparation phase, there was always something that I failed in. Yeah.
Well, no, like preparing yourself in that while you're sitting there is like, yeah, if this scenario
Yeah.
goes this way, like I have my sharpened pencil and I'm running that way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I guess it really, it gives you like traveling in general gives you like such a great training for this neuroplasticity, for the flexibility of your thinking. Because as you say, like even you made this decision that even if you're at home for a longer period of time, at least every day you do something out of your comfort zone. Yeah, because this
Mm.
is what we need for the well functioning of the brain. And when you travel, it's like, being out of your comfort zone, like 24/7. So I guess there's nothing better or no other activity like that will give you like so much space in mind, a space in which you can put like so many opportunities, so many scenarios, like it just gives you the broader picture, the space, the lightness in it all, because you have experienced like so many ways of dealing with something that the creativity goes up, like you are able to come with like 10 solutions what you do in certain situations, because it all just like grows up and up, so I guess it's so important for our healthy state of brain system.
Yeah, for our evolution, like evolving as an individual and actually contributing to the evolution of the species, because there's the 100 monkey kind of aspect. If you are making some kind of jumps in your own personal evolution, then the whole tribe of that you are connected to via DNA and the field, the quantum field, then everyone else is kind of going slightly more and further, and it's like so. But I like to highlight what you said, that it is about the evolution. It is about the growing yourself and the way of thinking, the creativity, creative thinking, thinking in different ways. Because I interview with Kevin Zwierciechewski. I hope I said it correctly, Kevin. Sorry if I didn't. But that's what we were talking. It's like if you travel, if you are in different settings, in different cultures, it makes different languages. It makes different shapes in your mind.
Yeah.
So it's just like it shifts your view. And yeah, it's just like it opens other doors, it opens other resources. You have more and more resources. You have you have more perspective on life and on where you are living and how you are living than all the people, other species. So
yeah.
Kristina did it again. The wisdom of Kristina, the Czech Moravian Indiana Jones, female Indiana Jones, or is it Lara Croft?
Ah, well, actually, when I was younger, I was looking up into this Lara Croft symbol, but I'm not anymore. So Indiana Jones is kind of closer now.
So actually, forget Indiana Jones. It's Kristina.
Oh yeah.
And give you
Absolutely,
Kristina. Listen,
absolutely.
listen.
Yeah.
The time has flown so fast, and we haven't even gotten. Maybe we haven't gotten through 15%, 25% of your travels. So I will petition
Yeah.
Kristina. This is going to be a series, probably. It's like, but then if you have a great story, if you have a great,
Yeah.
inspiring, awesome person, like with my other guests, they are all coming back. So it's just
Beautiful.
this is the VIP club of amazing
Oh,
stories.
yeah.
So
I love this idea. Sure.
let's make this series. And so thank you so much for this time, because I know you have a client after this. So
Yeah.
you guys hold a space, because Himalayas are coming out, Nepal, and so on and so forth for our intrepid traveler, Kristina.
This is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tanya, really for creating the space where we can share the stories, where I can share my story. I feel really privileged. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. And yeah, it's as you say, I feel like, we could go on like for 10 hours in a row, talking, because we get so much in common. So I'm always very honored to be here. Really, thank you.
Me too. I just feel incredibly grateful for wonderful people like yourself, coming, sharing space, talking, inspiring. Yeah, I think this is juicy and it's nourishing, and it's just great. And thank you so much. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to next time. So we are continuing this spaceship travel with Kristina next time, and it's going to be part 3. This is part 1. Part 2 was a week ago. and part 3 is coming afterwards. So you hold on there, enjoy yourself, allow yourself to be in the world that is not so distorted, that there are good people and good things to enjoy, to experience, and to share. And we will see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.